And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is the 3rd of June, 2026. We are officially in hurricane season here in Florida. Yay. Where what do? We spend our days when we see something coming out of Africa. That's where they start. And we start looking at what the cone. We go to the NOAA website and just watch cones. That's what we do during hurricane season when something shows up. Yay. But the good news is, nothing yet. Last year was very quiet. Hopefully another quiet year. All right. And let me state for the record, 8:30 p.m. tonight, my Knicks. I have my father's picture. I will be placing it next to me in front of the TV, watching the Knicks game. When the greatest Knicks fan of all time was my father. Wish he was still around to be watching what we are watching. We'll see how it plays out. Fingers crossed for a good... I got to tell you, they look pretty damn good. That's all I can tell you. Anyway... In case you don't know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We're going to do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, war, tariffs, corruption, sleaze, slime, you name it, we cover it, and we do it with any ulterior motive, any agenda, any bias. 39 trillion of debt says so. We're always told, Gary, you got to pick a side. No, we don't. We are on the side of good. And unfortunately, there'd be a lot of bad emanating from that place called DC. But that said, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we're going to post it at GaryK.com. We're also going to post it on our X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should put my name in and follow. We're very charming and sarcastic there. By the way, we hardly ever put anything on markets. And I don't know how anybody in my business can continue to post stocks on there without... I mean, when you post stocks on social media... I guess they have a good compliance division. That's all I can tell you. If you'd like to email me, just be nice. Oh, by the way, we'll post it on the YouTube channel of BizTV also. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to spend this whole segment on one subject that we have warned you about. One subject. And the reason why we're going to talk about it, the whole segment, maybe more, is because you have been deceived. You've been deceived. And that's crypto. This is not about where it's going, but we're going to get into that, or what it's doing, but we're going to get into that. It's about what's said and why and all that. First off, you need to know a couple of things. Price moves the emotions. You know that, right? And it works on all of us. In the depths of the financial crisis in 2008, I went to the bank and got $25,000 in cash because I thought the financial system was going to hell. For instance, price moves emotions. But there's also something that I call right versus not. You see, in front of you, they have paraded this whole crypto thing to you as the end-all be-all. Yet we have said to you, wait a minute, hold on. There's no sales, no earnings, no product, no service. People that are asked on TV, the experts are asked what fundamentals back this up. And all they will tell you is, it's limited amount. Can't go higher. They can't tell you anything else. In the past, they have said, well, we're going to use it as currency. Didn't happen. I remember when somebody started using it as currency and then it melted down and they were losing. And to this day, nobody can tell you. Yet, you have that woman who runs the ARK funds. And remember, listen carefully, she is the only person we ever mention that's in our business in a not so positive fashion. And the reason is because we hate outlandish crap. We hate the people that say we're crashing all the time. We hate's a big word. We dislike the people that say we're crashing all the time. We loathe the people that give out 1.5 million target for Bitcoin in 4 years, which would basically be, what, 20-fold? Well, not anymore, more than 20-fold. Yet they still get paraded in front of you. And I will tell you, leading up into the end of last year, you had some famous people, I'm not going to mention who, say we're going to be at 150,000 at the end of December. And when December came along, well, they said the end of January. Well, they're not being asked anymore. Now, this is not about where it's going. It's about what it's been doing and what I am seeing right now. And I'm not big into reasoning because I'm a big believer that price is price. Price is price. That's what I'm a big believer in. Price is price. Patterns are patterns. Uptrends are uptrends, downtrends are downtrends. I've noticed in recent weeks a quieting down of the crypto people because crypto's been murdered. And of course, throughout the years, we've been telling you, there's like 32,000 coins they try to come out with. You know that, right? I have a website that I go to. There's 32,000 coins. No, really. And of course, most are zero. But there's still plenty of them out there with serious... Well, let me just give you a couple. As of this second, Bitcoin is worth 1.3 trillion, they're telling me, based on how many they're out there and what the price is. Ethereum is 217 billion. There's something called Tether, 188 billion. Something called BNB, never even heard of that, 83 billion. So there's still money out there. Dogecoin, which came out as a lark, is at 15 billion. And I can go on and on and on and on and on. But once you get to number 40, we're only at a billion. So, and a lot of them are trading at a few cents, some a little bit more than that. Crypto's in a bear market now. Any way you cut it. Crypto is in a bear market. Any way you cut it. I don't care what anybody tells you. I saw somebody on TV lie about it last week. Acting fine was the two words that was said. And why is it acting fine? Because we've seen this before. It's had drops like this before. It's acting fine. Not that it's down 50% since October. It's acting fine because we've seen it before. That's what I mean by just be careful of the bullcrap. Remember, people that are paraded in front of you have an interest, including me. But if you notice, we're very careful about shouting and touting and all that. Up next, what we're seeing and reasons. That's up next on Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So we're talking crypto. And of course, we have the crypto president. But of course, he's been a little bit quieter on it because price moves emotions. And how dare the president be involved in something that's going the wrong way? And of course, his sons are involved with crypto. And of course, underhanded through the presidency. And in case you don't know, they're been destroyed. Whatever they were involved with has absolutely croaked. Their stock they're involved with has gone from 14.5 to 93 cents. And this is not a rip on them. I'm letting you know that even they are getting hit by this. And this is all happening with the complete backing of the White House. How can it be? Well, I'm going to pose, I think, a valid answer to what's going on. Remember, there is not a thing that backs crypto. It is just an asset play. That's all it is. There's no product, no service, nothing underlying it except they tell you it's a limited amount. They don't tell you they tried to come out with 32,000 of them. Dennis Rodman came out with the pot coin. That went to zero. Mark Cuban tried to come out with a coin, and I believe it went to zero overnight. And he's somebody. And as I go through this list of this website, a ton of it is at zero. So what do I think is going on? Fear and greed. That's what's going on. Price moving emotions going on. It is not like, listen carefully, someone can go and look at Bitcoin and say, well, they did $6 billion in revenues. It's up 55%. Earnings are up 30%. They're coming out with a new product. Nobody can do that. All they can do is hope that it goes back up. That's all. And there's not a person that can argue what I'm telling you. It's as simple as that. My good guess, and I think it's a good guess, is that the people in crypto are, I wouldn't call them gunslingers, but they are, gamblers. And they are watching Micron and SanDisk and these other things going ape you know what to the upside. And look what's happening to my crypto. What do you think they're doing? And as they do it, what do you think happens? It feeds on itself. That's it. I think that's a pretty darn good guess. And there's no way of valuing it at all. There's no way of valuing it. And then you have the other problem, which I've been warning you about forever. You're welcome. MicroStrategy, which is now called strategy, where I have told you that is not a strategy. Oh, we're going to turn the company into a Bitcoin hedge fund and use leverage and debt to just keep buying more. There's only one problem. If you're leveraged on an asset that keeps going lower, you're going to get called. So MicroStrategy's gone from 457 to 126 since last July. But as I told you, the guy would go on TV and say everything's fine. And what did we tell you? Everything's not fine. And there you have it. And the stock getting pummeled. Ethereum's weaker. They don't even talk about Ethereum anymore. By the way, that's all they used to talk about. I was told Ethereum was going to be the end-all be-all because it's blockchain this and blockchain that. That's what I was told. You remember that? You remember that, right? Of course you do. So it got roughed up again today. Back to 65,000. Which has me lead into one simple statement, and if you had a chart, you would be able to see what I am seeing. There are simple ETFs for Bitcoin. One is GBTC. That's a symbol. The other is IBIT. They look the same. Both are approaching, of course, together, the February, March, early March, and late March lows. And when I switch from a daily chart to a weekly chart, let me simply state, it had better not break those lows. Because as we have told you, when vital support is broken, it usually invites more selling. And in case you don't know, there are institutions in this thing. In case you don't know, and we warned you about this, all these investment bankers that used to call Bitcoin crap and actually use the other word for crap. So, as always, if anything changes, we will let you know. But now, crypto is on what we call a ledge. By the way, Ethereum has broken that ledge already. And we hope you have listened. Simple as that. I've noticed there's not a lot of talk now about it anymore. I've noticed that. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. It's a classic bear market. And we'll just leave it at that. We'll let you know if that area support gets taken out. And I want you to remember a couple of things again. The big institutions really got going on it after it got into the 100,000 plus. Just want you to remember. And I promise you, price will affect emotion as well as words. We hope it works out because there's a lot of bucks in there. But we're just letting you know right now, ew. And am I surprised? Yes. Because for a long while, it would tag the NASDAQ. For a long while. Not anymore. And when, by the way, this goes for, and I'm not saying, have you seen what Pokemon cards are going for? These are just cards of Pokemon. The prices for these tangibles that don't do anything except you collect them are going bonkers to the upside. I wonder. I don't know if you know this, but diamonds, the price of diamonds have crumbled. While the price, expensive watches, I'm told, have been dropping like a rock. We'll see. By the way, one of my biggest mistakes ever was when my kids told me about Pokemon, and there was a stock called 4Kids Entertainment back then. And I'm like, I ain't buying that. I think it went up like 8, 9, 10-fold. It was hot for a while. Anyway, sorry to tell you, but the Dow was down 620 today. The NASDAQ 238. NASDAQ 100 only down 89 because the SOX was up 190 again today. And thank you, Adam, for doing the show yesterday. Here's what happened yesterday. Google, Alphabet, announces $80 billion of an offering, stock and debt, for AI. So what do you think jumped? Anything that's a benefactor. Today it was the semiconductor equipment companies, more semiconductor chips. Yesterday was some opticals and this and that. Amazingly, Google, Alphabet, their $80 billion of stock and debt, the stock has dropped $150 billion in market cap since the announcement, which has me questioning, wait a minute, this is what's driving it? We'll see what the final outcome is. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. The news on Google, $80 billion. I don't know if you know this, but announcements of $1 billion used to be huge. $80 billion. Also yesterday, the CEO of NVIDIA comes out and says Marvell is going to be a $1 trillion stock. The stock went up like $70 yesterday, was up 30-something today, did fall back at the end of the day. Can't go up forever, right? So, I'm just letting you know it's weird. In the Dow today, you want weird? IBM goes up $100 in a few days. Down $24 today. It's like trading like a penny stock. So that's like 150 Dow points. Microsoft, you had a good software move to the upside. Dropped $14 today. That's about 90 Dow points. Visa down another 5. Visa and MasterCard are right at new yearly lows. Salesforce down 10 pullback. And let me tell you, on top of Visa and MasterCard, American Express down 10. The credit card companies are acting like the south end of a northbound jackass. Financials had a rough day today, but some of the big banks have been acting fine and they just pulled back. But other things in financial land, ew. And of course, as we've been telling you, avoid most retail, avoid housing, defense stocks, the travel stocks, though a couple act okay. Insurance is no-go. Restaurants, my goodness gracious, they've crashed some restaurant stocks. The latest, Shake Shack. They just crashed this thing. By the way, you know what a crash is? 106 to 55 in the last 7 weeks. That's a crash. You want to know what a crash is? Domino's. 500 to 300. So just letting you know, away from semiconductors, artificial intelligence, optical, data storage, memory, there's still a bunch of areas that puke. We'll keep telling you, and as always, you get to decide. And I must tell you, United Rentals broke to new high ground today. I look at the consumer and consumer stocks. I'm like, what's going on here? And then United Rentals, which, by the way, 13, 14 billion in equipment rentals and industrial rentals and that type, breaks out today. So I don't know what's going on, but just letting you know, there's a lot of jello moving on the plate. And that's a little bit of the markets. Yields bounced today. Oil's up today. As I have said to you, and again, I don't believe our administration has any control of what's going on in the Middle East, in spite of what the president says. I am standing behind him, standing next to him, wishing him well, hoping for great things, but there is no doubt in my mind they have no control of what's going on. Unfortunately. And he keeps saying things, and Iran immediately comes out and says he's full of it. Oh, we've been talking to them all. No, we haven't. Oh, they told us they're going to get rid of nuclear. No, we didn't. Think about that. It's so weird to watch. And when I watch them, I have to sit there and say, no, it didn't. No, they didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Where's he getting that from? Up next. What else be going on? I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. And by the way, I got emails. It turns out the guy at MicroStrategy sold some Bitcoin for the first time ever, supposedly. The question is, was he forced to? Was he forced to? My answer, I don't know. 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 In the news. So yesterday, I was on a conference call, or whatever you would call it. Anybody know who Ron Barron is? Ron Barron is a big mutual funds company, And I think he's still the biggest owner of Tesla and bought it ages ago, and he was an early investor in SpaceX, and they own a ton of that. And obviously he's going to do very well when the IPO comes out, which I do believe is in the next week or two. By the way, I'll stop right there on that first. There is also talk with markets about these big IPOs coming out and crowded things out. The answer is I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So I watched Ron Barron yesterday, and I got to tell you, before I go over what he said, when I look at the valuation of SpaceX and what SpaceX is going to come out versus their sales, I think the valuation is obscene. If they're coming out with the valuation they are saying upwards of 1.5 trillion, I believe it's obscene. But then I sat there and watched Ron Barron explain that he thinks where this is going to go. And talking just so you know, SpaceX is also XAI, as well as Starlink, which, by the way, is the greatest internet on Earth. You ever been on an airplane's internet and how bad it is? Well, I did Starlink coming from Hawaii. Over the Pacific, it was fantastic. Anyway, he believes, I'm just telling you what he's saying, and we are not advocating anything. He's saying that he believes Starlink's going to do trillions. It's going to be the internet of the world. He believes that the amount of launches SpaceX going to do going forward is going to be gargantuan. Just remember, they get to bring down the rocket and put it up again. And the numbers he was talking, if it wasn't Ron Barron, who, by the way, has a lot of cred, I would have been like, shut up. That said, I still remember when the first stock went over $1 trillion. And I couldn't believe it. There's no way anything's going to be $1 trillion. Well, you got some at 4 and 5 trillion now. Just letting you know, I have no clue the outcome, but I wanted to believe everything the guy had to say. That they're going to do trillions and trillions and trillions. And he was giving out numbers that he think the market cap of SpaceX is going to be. I'm like, what? And you want to believe him because he was the guy who was telling you about Tesla when everybody was making fun of him. But that's a piker compared to the trillions and trillions and trillions that they're talking about. So just letting you know. And you can look up Ron Barron, and whether you like him or not or whatever. And let me repeat, we're not advocating anything. We are answering the most asked questions. And boy, are we getting hit with SpaceX. And SpaceX. And SpaceX. And it's highly talked about. And I don't blame it for being highly talked about. Going to be interesting to watch. Just remember, always, eventually, valuation will matter. Always. It's a fact of life. That's how it works. Boy, I am interested in seeing how this plays out big time. Ray Dalio. Go look his name up. His book, what is it called? Principles? He says U.S. is past the point of no return on debt. He worries about a financial repression coming because of it. Cross the debt threshold from which it cannot return, and the Federal Reserve may soon be forced into a 1930s-style policy of holding interest rates artificially low. In case you don't know, he's the Bridgewater Associates founder, one of the big hedge fund guys of all time. Says $7 trillion in federal spending against $5 trillion in revenue is squeezing the economy like plaque in the arteries. Sounds like somebody you know. And just do not forget, Trump, Biden, Trump, Obama, Bush. They're all to blame. I blame Bush and Trump even more because they're supposedly the conservative Republicans that aren't conservative. And Trump is the big disappointment because he's had 2 times to do something about it. And we'll see in time whether Mr. Dalio's right. And you know how we'll know he's right? The market will be in trouble, and the Fed will have their hands forced into easy money city, which would create that inflation again. Remember, the inflation we had was created by Jay Powell, printing to $9 trillion, taking rates down to 0, buying up the whole frickin' bond market and distorting everything. That is what happened. And then we'll throw Joe Biden in there with his $1.8 trillion Inflation Reduction Act that he admitted did not do anything on inflation. Do you know why inflation finally came down? Because they stopped printing. And he raised rates to stop the inflation. Duh! You have a great day. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family, hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Have a good night. Bye-bye.